This is the man at the centre of the latest storm facing the White House. Devin Nunes, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Democratic members on the committee want him to stand aside from their investigation into Russian interference in the election. The trouble started last Wednesday when Chairman Nunes, without telling his colleagues, rushed to the White House to brief the president and then reporters on new intelligence.
Some level of surveillance activity.
Information that might just have supported the president's explosive claim on Twitter that he himself had been wiretapped. At that time, President Trump's press secretary faced questions on whether the new information had actually come from the White House.
So I don't know why he would travel, brief the speaker, and then come down here to brief us on something that we would have briefed him on. It doesn't really seem to make a ton of sense. So I'm not aware of it, but it doesn't really pass the smell test.
It has since emerged that Chairman Nunes did get his new information at the White House, and the New York Times has reported he met two senior administration officials there. So Press Secretary Spicer was in the uncomfortable position of having his words from last week read back to him.
It doesn't seem to make a ton of sense, so I'm not aware of it, but it doesn't really pass the smell test.
If you actually go back, I was responding to, I was very clear that I said, based on what Chairman Nunes has said, I believe the following doesn't make sense.
Perhaps it's now Mr. Spicer's explanations and the White House's actions that do not appear to pass that smell test. The controversy means that the House investigation is for now effectively stalled, but the committee of the other House here on Capitol Hill, the Senate Intelligence Committee, continues its work with a hearing into Russian efforts to subvert democracy last year. The US intelligence agencies all agree Russia was involved in email hacking during the election campaign, but this hearing focused on another part of its cyber warfare activities, what was described as a massive and sophisticated disinformation operation.
This Russian propaganda on steroids was designed to poison the national conversation in America. The Russians employed thousands of paid internet trolls and botnets to push out disinformation and fake news at a high volume, focusing this material onto your Twitter and Facebook feeds and flooding our social media with misinformation.
With its embattled House counterparts surrounded by controversy, the Senate panel is now promising more hearings in the coming days and that it will interview key witnesses, including the president's own son-in-law, Jared Kushner. James Bays, Al Jazeera, Washington.